Welcome to today's Explainer. We're heading deep into the absolutely breathtaking Nandanvan Forest. Just picture it for a second. Golden morning light filtering gently through this incredibly dense canopy of banyan antique trees. It looks perfectly, almost magically peaceful. But this tranquil aesthetic is actually hiding one of the most dynamic, high-stakes networks of survival on the entire planet. So let's step inside.
Okay, let's dive into this, because that beautiful calm, it's totally deceptive. In Nandanvan, there's this unspoken rule operating right behind the rustling leaves. It might look like a random collection of individual animals just going about their separate lives, but the reality is that an unseen thread connects absolutely every creature here. Literally, no one is just existing in isolation. And that brings us to the core question of our journey today. Is any creature in the wild truly alone? We are so used to thinking of nature as this ruthless competition, right? Like every animal for itself. But what if the real secret to survival isn't just about how big or strong you are, but about who you partner with?
Well, to figure that out, we really need to understand a foundational concept, and that is symbiosis, or as it's beautifully referred to in Hindi, sajivita. This is the biological principle where completely different species work together for mutual survival. And we aren't just talking about, being friendly neighbors. We're talking about highly evolved life or death partnerships. They trade skills, they trade senses, and they trade resources. Honestly, without these partnerships, a lot of the animals in Nandanvan simply wouldn't survive the day.
All right, let's take a chronological walk through the forest, starting right at dawn. Our first stop reveals this totally fascinating dynamic of safety through shared senses. If we look way up into the branches of a towering banyan tree, we'll find Ranga, a langur monkey who is just happily munching on sweet fruits. And directly below him, down on the forest floor, is Shumpak, a deer, grazing with his herd. Now, at first glance, they're just two animals having breakfast, but their morning routine is actually a highly coordinated survival strategy. So let's break down this alliance. While Ranga the langur is eating, he's purposely dropping fresh leaves and half-eaten fruits down to the ground. Champak the deer gets a free, super accessible meal without having to stretch or forage too hard. In return, the langur benefits from the deer's incredible sense of hearing and smell from the ground, while the deer relies on the langur's eagle-eyed canopy view. And let me tell you, they desperately need these shared senses right now, because just beyond the tree line, a hungry leopard is silently crouching.
Suddenly, bam, the calm is shattered. Ranga's sharp eyes spot a tiny rustle in the leaves. Instantly, he lets out this booming alarm call, "Ko, ko, ko." At that exact same second, a lapwing bird perched nearby senses the danger and frantically starts flapping and screeching, "Tit-tit-tir." Champak the deer doesn't even hesitate. Hearing these calls, his ears perk up, he raises his tail, and instantly signals his entire herd to bolt deep into the forest. The leopard's ambush is completely ruined. All because of the langur and the bird's vigilance. Dozens of lives were just saved in a matter of seconds.
Now, as the morning fades and that harsh midday sun really starts beating down, we're going to move over to the riverbank. What's really interesting here is how nature has developed its very own highly efficient healthcare system to deal with the sweltering heat and all the nasty pests that come with it. Meet Kalu, a massive buffalo resting alongside a rhino. They are powerful beasts, sure, but right now they are utterly miserable, just tormented by biting insects swarming their thick hides.
But enter the ultimate woodland doctor, Ruby, the oxpecker. She lands right on Kalu's back for a picture-perfect transaction. Ruby gets a literal all-you-can-eat buffet, picking off every tick and louse she can find. And Kalu? He gets immediate sweet relief. He actually closes his eyes and relaxes while this tiny bird cleans his neck. It's quite literally a weight off his shoulders, provided by a creature a fraction of his size. But if we wander just a little further down the sandy riverbank, things get even more extreme. We find Vikram, a terrifying crocodile, just sunbathing with his massive jaws wide open. It's a chilling sight, and it forces us to ask a really suspenseful question. Why on earth would a tiny, fragile bird intentionally fly directly into the gaping jaws of a deadly apex predator? It sounds like an absolute death wish, doesn't it? Well, the answer is one of the absolute most daring hygiene partnerships on the planet. Meet Pinky, the Egyptian plover. Pinky flies right into Vikram's mouth without a second thought. You see, Vikram has rotting meat and leeches stuck painfully between his teeth. So, Pinky gets to feed safely on these high-protein meat scraps, while Vikram gets a free, highly specialized dental cleaning to cure his toothache. What is absolutely mind-blowing here is the total, unshakable trust. Vikram knows this tiny bird is helping him, so he keeps his powerful jaws perfectly still until Pinky is full and flutters away.
It's predator and prey, cooperating intimately for mutual relief. Crazy, right?
Moving right along into the late afternoon, as the fierce heat finally breaks, we get to witness the sweet reward of teamwork. High up in a tree, a small honeyguide bird named Chiku has spotted the absolute jackpot, a dripping beehive. But Chiku is tiny. He completely lacks the strength and the thick feathers needed to break it open and survive a swarm of angry bees. He needs heavy muscle.
Let's see how this builds, because the Great Honey Heist is amazing to watch. First, Chiku spots the hive. Next, he flies off to find Biju, a tough-as-nails honey badger. Chiku makes this specific whistling sound and does a little dance in the air. Biju understands instantly and follows along. Step 3. The badger uses his incredible strength to rip the hive wide open, totally ignoring the bee stings. Finally, they feast. Biju gorges on the honey, and Chiku swoops in for the leftover wax and grubs. It is an absolute masterpiece of interspecies execution.
Now the light is really starting to fade. It's dusk in Nandanvan. The animals are winding down, having their final meals of the day. Up in the canopies, the langurs, the squirrels, and various birds are happily munching on wild, sweet fruits. And as they eat, they carelessly drop pits and seeds, just scattering them all across the forest floor as they swing from branch to branch. It seems like a totally mundane, almost accidental activity, but it is secretly the single most important job in the entire forest.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that these animals are essentially the gardeners of the forest. By scattering those seeds far and wide, they are literally planting the future. Without even realizing it, the seeds they drop today will take root in the soil. Over time, they'll grow into new, dense teak and banyan trees. And those new trees will in turn provide the essential shelter, the sweet fruit, and the cooling shade for the next generation of animals. They're actively maintaining the long-term ecological sustainability of their home, ensuring that the whole cycle of life continues long after they are gone.
And this brilliantly illustrates our main theme, because as night finally falls, the forest returns to that quiet calm we saw at the very beginning. But now we know the truth. From alarm calls at dawn to dental work at midday, right down to seed planting at dusk, the true foundation of life here isn't dominance or solitary strength. The foundation is connection.
It all comes down to this profound moral embedded in Nandanvan. When all help one another, the world remains green and safe. It's a really powerful lesson in symbiosis, proving once and for all that no creature thrives in total isolation.
Thanks so much for joining me on this journey into nature's hidden partnerships today. If you enjoyed this explainer and want to keep exploring the natural world with us, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. But before you go, I want to leave you with this thought. If the wild, untamed animal kingdom has figured out that bridging differences and trading strengths is the ultimate key to survival, what could we humans learn from Nandanvan about how we collaborate, build our societies, and protect our own world? Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.